Just a little note for some of you that saw my Lucha Underground review, I believe that I did on Tuesday. I will be reviewing the second episode of Lucha Underground if you're interested, and it will be uploaded tomorrow, which will be Friday night. So look forward to that if you want to hear my thoughts on the second episode of Lucha Underground. But for now, tune in to my NXT review. Welcome back, YouTubers, to another NXT review with me, Mr. Parkin, on behalf of the British Fist. If you have any comments on the show itself, or NXT in general, as per usual, please put them in the comments section down there below. As you can probably tell, I'm quite happy, and in fact I'm quite chirpy, and the reason for that is because I felt NXT this week was back to the standards that I expect it at. We got some pretty good wrestling on this show. I felt the show flowed a lot better with there only being 4 segments and not being 6 or 7 segments with loads of squash matches in there. I felt they did their bit to try and build up to the next NXT TakeOver special, which I believe is happening this time in December. So I thought overall, this show was just pretty good, and you'll see why as I go through each of the segments in the next 10 minutes or so. You know, I was quite surprised when they opened the show with Sami Zayn versus Tyler Breeze in the #1 contendership match. You know, they've been building to this for quite some time, not to mention the fact that it's the #1 contendership for the most important belt in the NXT brand right now. So I was really surprised that they opened the show. I really thought this would main event the show and be the main focal point of the show, especially with it being built up over time and actually announced last week. But at the same time, I was thinking, well, if this is opening the show, then something good really must be main eventing the show, and more on that later. I thought this, again, you know, these two obviously have good in-ring chemistry. They generally have pretty good matches, and this was more of the same. I like the fact how they showed familiarity in this match. They showed Sami Zayn's resilience in this match. And although it was quite predictable, Sami Zayn gets the win and carries on his road to redemption, which I would think would end, at the next NXT special. But they had a thing later on in the night with William Regal that's saying that the match was going to happen next week. Now, I was thinking, don't do it next week. Let's build this up a little bit. Let's have some more promos. Let's build the heat between these two. We haven't really built too much heat between these two yet. Why not build up some heat between these two and do it at the next TakeOver special? Maybe they've got some sort of twist in mind for next week, I don't know. But the first thing on my mind was, why do it next week when you can save it for a big show? Especially if you're going to have Sami Zayn win the belt. If you're going to have that happen and have the road to redemption be over with and successful, do it at the TakeOver special, which is happening in December, not next week. Also, the backstage segment of Adrian Neville. Oh my God, he's stating the obvious once again, and he's just proving why he'll never be a very interesting character on WWE TV, in my opinion. Every time Adrian Neville is on a promo segment or has a microphone, I'm just like, oh my God, let's just move the fuck on! By far the lowest point in this show was Tyson Kidd taking way more time than he really needed or was necessary to beat a nobody, essentially. Yawn. So as announced last week, we had a women's tag team match. Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, who turned on Bayley last week and joined the BFFs version 2.0 Sasha Banks style. And they faced against Bayley and Charlotte. You know, so my first thought was, so what are they going to do with Becky Lynch? Are they going to showcase Becky Lynch here? You know, really show that she's had this massive character shift? Didn't really do it. And I guess that's mainly because they didn't really repackage her in any way. She had the same attire. Her acting skills are still kind of questionable in my opinion, which makes me think, should she really be in this role? But the match itself, you know, got a good amount of time, was pretty solid, nothing special. Obviously they're trying to portray Becky Lynch as the crony of Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, and they're trying to have her take most of the beat down, while Sasha Banks is the opportunistic yet cowardly unofficial #1 contender trying to get one up on anyone she can, whether it's Bayley or Charlotte. And they did a good job here in separating out Charlotte and Sasha Banks. Now, it seems like these two are going to be facing off. I don't know whether it's been made official yet, but it seems like these two, Charlotte and Sasha Banks, will logically face off. And so I don't really want them to touch too much. You know, I want to see these two face off at a special event, so to speak. And the way they booked the match really did do that perfectly. You even had Sasha Banks getting the quick roll-up win with the tights in a heel fashion over Bayley. Sasha Banks needs this win. She's basically the new #1 contender unofficially, and she needs wins going into that match against Charlotte, which I imagine will happen at the next TakeOver special. And I've heard rumblings, especially, that these two, Sasha Banks and Charlotte, have been having match of the nights at NXT live events, and their matches have been raved. So judging on that, the next NXT TakeOver special, or whatever it's called, should have another very good Women's Championship semi-main event match. Very much looking forward to it. I hope they do a little bit more between these two with the history and everything, and have these two characters build up a little bit more heat on the way. So hopefully from now on this will be good. I do wonder what they're going to do with Bayley. Now it seems like, you know, she's not really going to be a factor in this, and the main storyline is going to be focused on Charlotte and Sasha Banks. Maybe Charlotte will have Bayley in her corner to try and, you know, freeze off Becky Lynch in Sasha Banks' corner. So maybe they'll get Bayley involved. I think it would be a shame if Bayley wasn't involved at the next TakeOver special. It was going to take something big to top the opening match between Sami Zayn and Tyler Breeze as a main event, and I think they very much did it in this main event. I felt this was a very, very good way, and a very satisfying way, and a very good way of introducing a new character to NXT to end the show and leave us with a very good taste in our mouth. Hideo Itami was going to reveal his friend to go to get even with the Ascension, and you know, a lot of people knew who this was. The internet was waiting for this moment that one of their New Japan Pro Wrestling stars that WWE had signed would finally be on the NXT TV show. I wish they would have hyped this up a little bit more during the show, maybe mention it a few times, or have some backstage segments of Hideo Itami on his phone or something. I don't know. Maybe I missed something during the show. But man, the crowd popped big time for Fergal Devitt, didn't they? Sorry, I mean Finn Balor. They popped big time for the guy, and that is a very good sign. And they popped big time, and they were massively into Fergal Devitt, I mean Finn Balor, and Hideo Itami kicking the shit out of the Ascension. They were really, really fucking into it, and so was I. I thought this is a very good way of not only introducing a new character to the show, but also forwarding on this storyline and adding some more heat to this match, which should be another, hopefully, very, very good match at the next TakeOver special. I imagine they're going to do Finn Balor and Hideo Itami versus the Ascension in December at the next TakeOver special. So again, we've already got potentially Sami Zayn versus Adrian Neville, which I hope will happen there. We've got Sasha Banks versus Charlotte, which should be a very good match for the Women's Championship. We've got the Vaudevillains versus the Lucha Dragons for the Tag Team Championship. And now we potentially got a Hideo Itami and Finn Balor versus the Ascension Tag Team match. Not to mention, I've heard rumblings that Kevin Steen will be debuting. I believe his name is Keith Owens or something like that. There's rumblings that he will be debuting at the next NXT TakeOver special as well during December. So, God, this next TakeOver special should be a damn good one. I mean, it's setting up to be that way if things pan out exactly how they should. But this main event, wow, I was really, really blown away by this main event and the introduction of Fergal Devitt. I mean, Finn Balor. I thought this was a very, very good way to end the show. I really did enjoy it. So apart from Tyson Kidd taking way too long to beat a nobody, pretty much everything else on the show was very good, and at least continued the storyline or developed a character, or in the sense of the main event, introduced a new character, and did a very good job in building up my interest towards these storylines and feuds going into the next TakeOver special, which I believe will be happening December 11th, or I believe it's December 11th. I'm not sure what it's going to be called, though. We still need to wait for the official announcement to that. I thought the wrestling generally was pretty good on this show. And like I said, just a great overall complete show, which I felt flowed very well, apart from that kind of pointless Tyson Kidd match. Also, one thing I will point out as well is, you know, I still don't know why they're doing that Adrian Neville Sami Zayn match next week. Yeah, I thought that would have been better off just, like I said, building some heat between those two going into the next TakeOver special. I have no doubt they will do that, because that's pretty much the only match they can do for Adrian Neville right now. But why try and give us it next week when you can give us it then, you know, when I think people want to see it a lot more, when they know it's going to get a lot more time and a lot more focus and a lot more attention, and just generally be better and a better place to end this road to redemption for Sami Zayn, if that is exactly what they're going to do. Or try and create a top heel out of Adrian Neville, if that is exactly what they're going to do at the next one. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just talking bullshit right now. I'm just speculating. But more, you know, this was definitely the best show I've watched of NXT in some time, mainly because of the opener and the way the main event played out. I'll be interested to see how you felt about the show overall in general. Put your comments down below for that. Hopefully next week will be half as good as that, and if it is, I will definitely be enjoying it. Thank you very much for watching this review, and goodbye.